City School District meeting to order, work meeting to order. We're at 3594 North Snyder Road here in our board offices. Today is October 3rd, 2019. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Scarce,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes, the meeting has now been called to order. Please join us in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. I now need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll move. I'll second.
It's been properly moved and I have a second. Are there any changes?
Yes. I move that an action item regarding a settlement agreement between the board, an employee, and TMEA be added to the agenda.
Okay. So moved. So what we will do is we are going to add an additional item under, and it's going to be a board item after the executive session, number 4. So if we could, Ms. Allen, we're going to add number 5, and all the numbers will be consistent after that. It's a board item, and that board item is to add an action item regarding a settlement agreement between the board, an employee, and the TMEA. An action will be taken. Anything else? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scarce,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes, the agenda has been adopted. Thank you. Next up, we have presentations. Really excited about the presentations this evening. First up, we have Mr. Ron Adler. And Mr. Adler is the president of the Dayton STEM program. And again, it's an opportunity for our school district to partner and have an opportunity, additional opportunities for our students in the workforce. So, Mr. Adler, will you please come on up? Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Say it again. Good evening very much.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for the promotion. I was vice president yesterday. Now I got the president. I'm willing to
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
give a recommendation.
Go with
I
it.
am the board member. My name is Ron Adler. We're not sure what I am, but I'm with one of the founders of the Dayton STEM Workforce Program. From Dayton, we love Dayton. We saw what happened to the city of Dayton when a couple of businesses like NCR, Meat Paper, and so forth worked out. And we started talking about what we could do to help. In 2015, we formed and organized this organization, and essentially, we have a workforce program that we work with college students, and we work to try to retain tech talent. We don't want to leave the area. Whether this is about Trotwood, whether this is about Dayton, or I was this morning at Lebanon High School. The strength of the community is greatly dependent on the viability of the local business community. So to try to boil this down, we partnered with about more than a dozen now large growing businesses in the greater Dayton area, like Reynolds and Reynolds, Premier Health, Scala Motorman, Rolex, Booz Allen Hamilton, and on and on and on. We also partner with, as of today, 9 local colleges, both 2- and 4-year colleges in Dayton and the Miami Valley. We found out what our business partners need to maintain their workforce, and in order for them to continue growing, and I guess the good news is the economy is doing great right now. but they have to keep finding more and more people to sustain that growth. So what we do is we try to connect with the students and introduce all the opportunities they have. So we do that by offering scholarships to the students. Our scholarships are wrapped around what our business partners need. And basically it's in 4 categories. It's either STEM, IT, engineers, computer scientists or computer engineering, or healthcare, nursing or some other similar field, or manufacturing, because a lot of our business partners, like say, I mentioned Yaskala Motorman, robotics, it's all high tech, it's not what manufacturing used to be, it's high paying and it's a great job. And they have a constant need for young people out of school that are comfortable, have technical skills or technically minded, and would like to work in a production setting. So what we do is we work to connect those students. They apply, we put all their applications in a spreadsheet, and essentially we kind of match them up with what our business partners need. And we try to connect them for internships, job shadowing. I mentioned Premier Health, the largest hospital network in the area. Hospitals need doctors, they need nurses, they need everything. And they don't get to go home at 5 o'clock. They're there 24/7, 365. So they have a huge demand for workforce at every level, including for students that may be not wanting to go to college. They have entry-level positions. So what we try to do is connect the students. Now, why am I here today? I'll boil it down quickly. It's so competitive in the world that many of our businesses, like Reynolds and Reynolds, and like Premier Health, have said, a lot of these decisions are made where the students are going to go, high school students are going to go. It's being made at the high school level. Are they going to go to college? Do they want to go into the workforce? If they're going to go to college, are they going to stay in the area? Are they going out of either north or out of state? So they've asked us, we have a large network of students in college. They've asked us if we can replicate that, if we can build a similar network of high school students. So we put a program together, and one of our board members, Arlene Setzer, she's the mayor of Vandalia, and Charlotte McGuire, who's also a friend of ours, who's on the State Board of Education, so strongly urged that we contact your school. Essentially, we're asking the principal if they will connect us with some of your freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors, maybe about 10 of each. And perhaps students that might be interested in manufacturing or STEM or healthcare, or maybe they want to be an accountant. Business is fine. We just meet the students once. I just met 2 groups of students this morning at Lebanon High School. We explain what we're doing, we find out what they're interested in, and all we've said, we want to help open doors, not only the colleges. The funny thing is, all these big growing businesses that we're partnered with, if the students, whether it's college or high school, if they don't know about them, if they don't know about Wind Supply it complicates their abilities to recruit the students. So we believe that a lot of the recruiting methods with students, job fairs, having someone come in, bus some of your students, we still bus, but we don't. You also have a school to run an education calendar. We try to be non-intrusive. So essentially, we've set up a program that we can connect with some of your students to tell them what we can do, and we can be their partner all the way through high school. And if they want to go to college, 2 or 4 year college, all the way through there, we want to help them and open doors. And basically with emails, and we want the parents to be involved because parents are huge influencers, and we want them to be partners in this program also. What we're doing in return is, as far as the students, if we were to set up this with your school, we would ask your principal and guidance counselors to pick one senior. It'd be on any of those, manufacturing, nursing, whatever they want to be, and we will automatically give them a scholarship if they attend one of our colleges. We want to create kind of a glide path for them. If they decide to go to one of our either 2 or 4-year colleges that we partner with, St. Clair, 2 Miami regional campuses, I think you have the list there. Once they get through the first year, we also do renewable scholarships. So they will be at the top of the list and eligible to get a renewable scholarship to get into the second year. So, and if they go to a 4-year college, we do that all the way through until they become a senior. We don't want students, whether they're high school or senior college, to leave the area. Again, strength of this community is really greatly dependent on the strength of the business community, and they need workers. So we try to tell students, we don't want you to go to California. It's too expensive out there, a lot of smog, terrible traffic. So we try to show them all the opportunities. And all we want to do is send emails, send them all the opportunities that, just one mention as an example, St. Clair Community College, they have a 2-year college associate degree. We met with them last week and they were almost begging us. They said, we're loaded with students for degrees, but we also offer certificate programs. And a student can get a certificate in 6 months to 9 months to a year and walk out of here and get a job, $35,000 or $40,000 a year. And we have no way of getting that messaging to parents and students. So that's what we want to do is, again, through just short emails, maybe short little 30-second YouTube videos, just to make them aware. So by the time they decide what they want to do with the future of their son or daughter, do they want to stay in town? Do they want to leave town? Do they want to go to college? They want to go in the workforce? So at least they have all the information about the opportunities that are in this area. In addition to offering a scholarship for the students, we also want to say thank you to every one of the high schools we work with, and we want to make a donation. Our only stipulation, we have 2 stipulations. A, it cannot be, well, one stipulation, it cannot be used for AstroTurf paint or we want it to be something tied into a class project or class initiative. If it's healthcare, maybe we'll buy some, I don't know, stethoscopes. If it's STEM, you might want to buy a computer, so whatever. And then when your school selects your student, we're going to walk in here with one of those big blown up checks, take some pictures, and we got a big database. We also, just as a side note, the state is really interested in workforce. And Lieutenant Governor Husted, who is actually originally from Dayton, is heading up that initiative, and we're partnering with the state. And they've got a new initiative also that might be helpful to your schools. So essentially, we just want to partner, help, open doors. I mean, you can take the smartest student to your school, but they always got the challenge of, how do I open the doors to college, or how do I open those doors now that I got my diploma to get a degree? And that's what we do. So we'd like very much to see if we can partner with you, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. I talked too long, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Mr. Adler, what schools do you partner with currently?
Right now,
Yes,
college or high school?
high schools.
Lebanon and Dayton, Stebbins, they got their STEM designation. Chaminade Julian, I'm missing somebody in my mind right now. Kettering, they just added Kettering Fairborn. Then we go up north, we're going to Tip City, or Tippecanoe High School, Troy High School, Troy Christian High School, Piqua High School, which I'm going next week to meet their students. And then we go as far north as Sydney, and that's as far north as I want to go with this program. And that's with Lehman Catholic High School. And we're basically, because there's a lot of big companies. And Emerson Electric is up there, and they're looking for support because they're not close to a city. So all we're trying to do is just to inform students and parents that there's a lot of great opportunities here, and we want to partner with them, with the students, with the parents, with the school, to see if we can help open doors and make connections for them.
Now, I know you're the co-founder, correct? You're co-founder and vice president of the company.
But we have hopes.
Okay. How long has the company been around?
We started this in 2011 is strictly a scholarship program. And I'm embarrassed to say, but I'll tell you, it was not exactly scientifically thought out. My wife and I were having lunch one day and said, we both have served on school boards, and we just said, often there are things happening and the kids are the talking points, but it ends up with the adults. We said, let's find some way to help kids and get some money to the kids. So we just said, I wonder what it would take to start a scholarship program. Really scientific. So we talked to an attorney and they told us it wasn't really that big of a hurdle. So we just kind of built it as we went along. And it was statewide. It was not. And we were just trying to help kids. We didn't care if they went in state, out of state. Then we started thinking about it. In 2015, we converted it. We said, we love Dayton, Greater Dayton. Let's see if we can support the business community there. STEM is really hot, a lot of great jobs. Let's call it the Dayton STEM Workforce Program. And we've just sort of been evolving. Our business is kind of our master. They said, we need help. And we think that a lot of these decisions are made at the high school level. Can you recreate a program similar that you're doing in college? Can you do that for high school students? And before you asked me, there was no scientific method of coming up with the schools we're working with. The board was sitting around and so, well, everybody goes this way. So next year, we hope to expand it to more schools. We want to help more students in the city and so forth. And we hope to be a little bit more thoughtful about schools, but
I understand there's no cost. Is that correct?
only to us.
Okay.
No, there's no cost to the school, there's no cost to the parents, there's no cost to students, there's no secret thing. We give a one-page agreement. It's not legal. I typed it. I'm not. Just basically is to say, if you would set up these focus groups, here's what we'll do. We'll provide a scholarship, provide a donation to the school, and we just sort of leave we should put in writing what we're going to do. We asked the students and the parents electronically. What we did this morning, I gave the students a page and just said, here's what we're doing. And now you may not have this, it's pretty much the same as you have, but I just said, go back to tonight, go to your computer at home or your laptop or iPad and just look up our website and it'll say high school program. Click onto it and it'll just say, here it is. We want to set up focus groups. We want to partner with you in the center. If we're going to offer a scholarship, we're going to offer a donation to the school. If you want to be part of it, and we don't have to meet with the students more than once. Everything is technology. Everything's online today. So all we want to do is, and they can unsubscribe anytime they want. But we just want to make sure they know the different opportunities that are in the community before they decide to leave the community. So it's kind of philanthropic.
Any other questions?
So the one student we would identify, would that be for this current year? Okay, are there any qualifications for that student?
They have to be in our focus group. They got to put in
Okay.
my emails all year.
All right.
And we tell them, I told the students this morning, how many of you open your emails? And I didn't get 100%. And I said, well, if any of you are going to go to college, you're going to have to learn to. And I need you to open up our emails because there might be some good stuff in there for you.
Right.
And I said, Ms. Brooks is going to pick one of you. It was the seniors. I said, I'm going to pick one of you and you're going to get a scholarship. So we were able to partner with you. Your principal and guidance counselor, maybe somebody on the board, would get together and decide who, well, we don't care if it's male, female, manufacturing, STEM, business, whatever.
And no GPA requirement.
None of that. You're actually working with 10 freshmen, sophomores, juniors. I mean, you're exposing student body though, because I know when you started, you
We
said.
want to keep the first one like 10 freshmen, 10 sophomore, 10, or it could be 8, doesn't matter. And eventually we want to open up to more. But as I've learned in life, when you start a program, you're better off starting. Not getting too big too fast because you're going to step in a hole and you don't want to step in too many. So we just want to be able to control it. And I don't want to get into it tonight, but we also offer, every year we do a big event down at Sinclair in January. And we have it in January because our focus has been on college students. They're still on winter break. They haven't gone back to class. We want a lot of students. We bring all of our business partners, all of our education partners, and all the students in our network, college students in the network. And essentially they get to network with vice presidents of some of the companies. And it's kind of a good, very casual, just, they can sit there and have lunch with them and talk to them. We want to open that up to our high school program too. We don't want all of our high school students because the room isn't that big. But in talking to some of the principals, we thought maybe we could have all the juniors, because seniors kind of think they know what they want to do already. But the juniors, I think I heard a couple of, oh yeah. I asked a principal once, I said, do your seniors, they know what they want to do for a career? And he looked at me and he said, they think they do. So we want to open it up to the juniors. So we'd love to have, if you're a part of us, to have all your juniors come.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And
Do you have any questions, Jim?
yeah,
Thank you
and
so much.
thank you for the presentation. Yeah. Mr. Howard, we will turn this over to your office and,
We'll follow up.
and he'll follow up and we'll,
You have all my contacts.
I have all your contact information and I actually,
Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the Ohio Department of Education, and this is the district update. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Howard.
Thank you, President Moore.
The presentation's out there. Oh, I see it.
He's getting that set up. I could preface what we've asked.
Sure. I'd like to introduce Clarice Huff Franklin from the Ohio Department of Education.
Good evening.
Good evening.
President Moore, board members, and all guests. I am Dr. Clary Huff Franklin from Ohio Department of Education, Director of the Office of Intensive Supports. The last time I came to you, it was the Office of Academic Distress Commission in Education for Reform, like a hammer on you.
Yeah, we're really glad you're not coming that way. All right.
Right.
Now, I'm the director of the Office of Intensive Supports in the center, from the center of continuous improvement. And everyone says, And happy to say, and I'll speak towards the end about the continuous improvement we've been able to see here. I just wanted to first thank everyone for allowing us to come back again. And I wanted to explain what we have asked of the district this evening, to kind of set up the frame for why we're here and what we've asked of the district. Well, first I'd like to say it's very exciting to hear about the possible partnerships you have. It's just always great to hear that others want to partner with you. And I think we all perked up when he said he's willing to give donations and scholarships. It's like, oh, okay, so that's good. I hope that that is something that could possibly work out with the district, that Dayton STEM workforce. So the district review was actually conducted in April 23rd through 27th of last year. Almost feels like yesterday. And we gave you the district review report. We presented that to you 3 months later in July 26th of 2000. And we asked that 2018, I think it's 2018. At that time, in July, we said we were going to come back in 6 months and have the district give give highlights to say what have they done since the district review. And I want to personally thank all of you for sending things my way on a personal note when I had unfortunate circumstances in my family. But since then, not only have I had unfortunate circumstances, so did your district and your community. So, my condolences go to you, as well as our sympathies for all the tragedies you've had to deal with as well since then. So now we are at this point And what we actually asked the district to do was to align all of their initiatives, looking at the recommendations that were given, and in our computer system, a continuous improvement program at ODE, the district has to list what are they going to do in order to get the federal programs, we call it CCIP. So there's an improvement plan there. We've asked the district to line up what's in the computer that they're promising they're doing for their federal grants with any initiatives in the district, and we call that a crosswalk. And we asked them to look at a year to a 3-year scope of when they plan to accomplish those things in the recommendation, but more importantly, as they align to your improvement plan. So we are here today, and we communicated back in, I believe, in December for them to actually share this crosswalk. So we've already had a sit-down conversation with the district leadership to hear this crosswalk that's now going to be shared with you. And so tonight, we're asking the district to share the highlights as asked, and they will be followed by our state support team, which I failed to recognize, which I want to, the director of our state support team, Betsy Alpolito. We appreciate her being here. So she will follow the district's presentation. And I also meant to mention Terry White, who's from my office. He's actually the Ohio Aid liaison and liaison with all the other districts we work with. And we'll share more afterwards on the inside about what our next steps and the kinds of supports that ODE promises to provide to you. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Superintendent Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We received guidance from the Ohio Department of Education that we needed to update our crosswalk via the information that was reported from ODE through the, I don't want to say academic stress anymore, but the academic review. So what we did in a nutshell is got ourselves together. When I say ourselves, the administrative team, and we prepared just highlights from last year that align with these 6 goals or these 6 identified areas for improvement that the Ohio Department of Education recommended for us. With that, I'm gonna ask Ms. Minor to come up. I asked Ms. Allen to come up as well. And each area where we established some things that were done last year and just some highlights of some of the things that the district put in place in response to the 6 areas. And then our next step was to proceed with moving forward. What are some of the things that the district has put in place or plan to put in place to move forward? Okay. The 6 highlight areas from ODE through the report. Area 1 was leadership, governance, and communication. Area 2 was curriculum and instruction. Area 3, assessment and use of data. Area 4, human resource and professional development. Area 5, student supports. And Area 6, fiscal management. Leadership and governance. These are some highlights from last year. Our biggest one absolutely being the Board of Education and the administration participating in the strategic planning process. For many of you who don't know, there was a 2-day retreat off-site in Houston Woods where the Board of Education and the district administration came together and put together a very, very solid strategic plan that identifies 6 goals and some strategies with some really sound and direct principles on what our district will be focused on. The new superintendent last year restructured central office with new positions. Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity was hired to lead special education and the district leadership team and state supports. A director of state and federal grants was hired to manage all state and federal grants and the 21st Century Grant. Curriculum instruction, director of curriculum instruction's position was changed to principal leadership, and the district hired more than 50 new staff to satisfy the vision of the prior superintendent for total wraparound services.
I'll go ahead and share some of the curriculum and instruction highlights. The instructional framework was changed from understanding by design to the thoughtful classroom under the creation of Harvey Silver. The curriculum maps were revised in collaboration with classroom teachers and the Educational Service Center. Sample lesson plans were provided aligned to the maps and standards for the first 5 weeks of school. Instructional coaches were removed from the K-5 buildings and principals were provided with increased job-embedded PD. One curriculum coordinator was removed from central office to work directly with the middle school as an academic coordinator. Under assessment and use of data, weekly common formative assessments were provided to all teachers in reading and math grades K through 12 during the first semester. Common benchmarking assessments were administered in reading, math, science, and social studies for grades 6 through 12 and reading and math for K-5. Visual and performing arts gifted identification and servicing was implemented along with the continuation of other gifted categories. Professional development, we established an online evaluation for professional development sessions, created and implemented the Aspiring Leadership Academy, providing 23 staff members with leadership training and college credits, resulting in members leading projects, being promoted within, and supporting the culture of continuous learning. Trained all staff on the thoughtful classroom instructional framework, provided weekly job-embedded coaching support to all building administrators, and conference calls and face-to-face meetings, increased participation in local, state, and national conferences.
Human resources, we developed and implemented a retention plan that included exit surveys, conferencing in collaboration with teachers and administrators. Established proactive hiring practices through attending job fairs throughout the year to recruit highly qualified staff. A revision of all job descriptions to align with the district's strategic plan in a collaboration with the Trotwood-Madison Educational Association to secure a 3-year contract.
Okay, student supports, new positions in the district. Deans were placed in all buildings, grades 2 through 12. Parent engagers in all buildings to increase overall parent and community involvement. Student encouragers to support the social emotional well-being of each child. Restorative justice personnel to provide solid systems of support to reduce the overall suspension and expulsion rates. Continued the PBIS systems of support, but reduced some of the district meetings were reduced to provide guidance and support to teams. Mental health therapists and social workers were placed in all buildings, and we discontinued partnership with an agency for mental health services.
Under fiscal management, the Treasurer's Office continued to provide budget solid support for our practices for the Department of Schools. And I'm always so proud to talk about our comprehensive budget book, and I know Dr. Franklin knows about this, but I'm just going to give you guys a copy. This comprehensive and transparent budget document, we provided this to the Board of Education, all of our department heads, our school principals, and their secretaries, and that individual book outlines just a process that each department and or school goes through in order to identify general fund expenditures and some of the staffing initiatives that they want, and also the measurements. And so we're really proud of that book. We did that. We started that back in 2015, and it's been about a 5-year process. And we're trying to roll that out, a similar type of book on the federal side, And we actually did a presentation to the board a month or so ago, and we have all of the information. Now we just need to put it in a nice book like that. So that's one of the things that we're going to be working on. Monthly financial reports, obviously, we're providing to the Board of Education every month. We have a finance committee every month, which includes our Vice President, Vanessa Judah Freeman, and Mrs. Myra Bozeman. So we go over everything. So the reports are quite lengthy, but we look at 3-year histories. We look at a lot of the financial components of the district. The state, federal, and the competitive grants, we continue to monitor and acquire different state, federal, and competitive grants. And each month, we try to have meetings to make sure that we could provide the board with information in terms of expenditures and the revenue for every month. The district also has a preventive maintenance program and a capital replacement plan. And then another large initiative that we did was we implemented board docs. And so our board members now have computers along with the myself and the superintendent. And we use that to provide more robust minutes, because back in 2015, 2016, ODE did indicate that our minutes needed to be a little bit more comprehensive. And so that's.
Moving forward, 2019, 2020, looking back and at this point, moving forward, and where we're going to try to push to continue improvement in the district. The first bullet, we didn't do that, the board did, appointment of an acting superintendent. So I guess that is we. Yeah. Establishment of a new vision of professional learning community, restructure central office supports to better align with the needs of the district and the alignment to the district's strategic vision. The strategic vision drives everything we do. It is a very formal and direct document that outlines the expectations and the goals for the district, and we try to ensure that everything we do as a school district falls up under the strategic vision. Leadership and governance, communication, leadership, governance, and communication. At this point, we've restructured central office supports to combine curriculum instruction with special education. Restore grants administration back to the curriculum department with support from Montgomery County Educational Service Center. Restructure coordinator positions to support district initiatives. Weekly communications to the district related to professional learning communities and expectations. Reestablish monthly Saturday professional development sessions for all of our building and district level administrators.
Alignment of all teams to the professional learning communities model, learning centers, PLCs, created new BLT, TBT, and DLT documents to support professional learning communities, created a new professional development plan to support standards-based instruction for all teachers and principals, created a new assessment model to support professional learning communities. Assessment and use of data, continued common formative assessments using the PLC model for teacher collaboration, continued common benchmarking assessments, continued job embedded data analysis PD at the building level, and we're going to continue district level PD sessions on data analysis.
Human resources and professional development, continue new teacher training and orientation, continue new teacher professional development with the resident educator program, implement new frontline education platform for attendance and payroll, human resource management, increase financial support for tuition reimbursement for all staff members aligned to their positions, continue recruitment and retention efforts for highly skilled staff members, evaluation of all newly added positions from the prior year, and their alignment with the district's strategic plan. Student supports, continue alternative educational options, refine roles of external support staff, continue with the Dean of Students in grades 4 through 12 for tier 1 to support, tier 1 and tier 2 incidents, implementation of conscious discipline concepts at the Early Learning Center, Restorative justice expanded to all buildings, K-12, district level training plan for all staff. Partnership with Five Rivers Health Center for school-based health services. Reestablished partnership with mental health service providers. Alignment of special education services with the curriculum department. Establish new special education protocols district-wide with the support of the state support team. Reinstate monthly PBIS district meetings, provide additional attendance support for all K-5 buildings, and provide support for homeless and displaced students.
Under fiscal management, we have a new the same person, but additional responsibilities. We brought the accounting side of the grant management. It was moved under my supervision. In collaboration with Mr. Howard and Ms. Minor, we will again monitor very closely our revenue and expenditures to make sure that those monies are adequately spent. The critical financial protocols and expectations again will be emphasized. And the last thing, we will continue to put in verification processes, and this is Bonefish. EPAS and EVAS is a system that we use to make sure that our vendor checks are correct. We don't have duplicate payment. The EPAS is the payroll side. We're looking at certification to make sure all of our teachers are certified properly prior to us paying them. And then HR, we continue to work very closely with the HR department to make sure that our employee payments are accurate and timely.
So in essence, we provided you with a summary of where we've been and where we hope to go. Our true work aligns with the concept of the professional learning community. Since we started on August 1st, we have implemented the concept of PLCs, and we want to align all of the PLC processes along with our strategic vision, our strategic goals established by the Board of Education in the district together. So with the PLC process, there's 3 big ideas and there's 4 fundamental questions. 3 big ideas is a focus on learning, a true and evident process of collaboration and focus on collaboration, and using results and using data to drive everything that we do. Using results or being results oriented. And those 4 fundamental questions are: what do we want our students to learn? How do we know if they've learned it? What do we do if they haven't? And what do we do if they already have? So we have been using that concept and that process throughout the start of the school year. And we want to be very clear. The PLC is not another plan. It's not another thing. It's not another function. It's not another system. What it is a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking, and the way that really successful school districts that have had some struggles and that have had some success implement and change their thought processes, becoming a high functioning and a high performing school district, because they focus on learning, they focus on working together, and they focus on using data to drive instruction and focus on results. So that's where we are, that's where we've been, and hopefully that's what we're working on. Right. Turn it over to Ms. Abilene.
I wanted to bring my laptop with me because I have lots of good things to tell you about the work that we've started this year. So good evening, President Moore, board members, Superintendent Howard, and the rest of all you wonderful, great people who work in Trotwood-Madison who are here. So I wanted to share with you some things that we're doing a little differently this year as a state support team. In the past, we have provided technical assistance and professional development. And some of you, I know you've seen me at DLT meetings and so forth. But this year, thanks to the department and our forward site, we know that the work that we do when a district is identified or a building is identified in an improvement process, that normally what happens is you're identified for a short time span. And we know improvement work takes a longer period of time. So with the forward thinking of the state level and the work of a team called the State Design Team, we've looked at it as how can we change the level of supports we provide and the kinds of supports we provide to create systems to assist the district in creating a systemic approach to their practices that are working, so that when we have to leave, that we're not leaving a hole, that we have actually built capacity within people within the district to take on the work that they want to or that they've designed. So for example, we have a partnership agreement now that we've created. It's a partnership with the state support team. We'll coach the district to do the variety of things that the district and the state support team have agreed upon within our scope of work. So I'll just go over just very briefly and mirroring what Mr. Allen and Ms. Allen and Ms. Weiner talked about, and talk about how our roles will intersect with what the district is doing. So we first look at around school improvement needs. So we talk about those areas in academics that where there may be some deficits. So the district has some things already in mind. The professional learning communities is one of those things. So we will be coaching principals and they're building leadership teams on implementing PLCs and building capacity around that work. So what is it that they need to put in place? What structures do they need to ensure they have? What protocols, practices do they need to put in place? So that it's not it's position specific rather than person specific. Around the area of positive behavior interventions and supports, you now have a district team, which you did not have before. And sustainability around PBIS would mean it's a framework. So that umbrella would be that whoever is working in those buildings would support the rollout. They would do the professional development rather than us do the PD for their teams. They would have conversations, so they have a lead in each building that really supports and ensures that practices are followed. We coach that person, we help them develop the protocols, and then we also work with the district level team and Ms. Minor. So that's what we're doing around PBIS, and we help them collect data, we help them look at a tiered fidelity inventory, which is actually measuring the level of fidelity to the PBIS process. We've been working this year, we have in the state of Ohio, as you well know, a literacy plan. We are also asking districts to write a literacy plan by looking at some data called a reading tiered fidelity inventory. And that reading tiered fidelity inventory measures effective literacy practices in buildings. So we started working with the Early Learning Center, thanks to Mr. Warner asking us for some support. So we have been intimately involved with his building staff, building leadership team, and looking at their early literacy data and helping them think about what we call multi-tiered systems of support. What's happening in core instruction, the basic instruction, and then what interventions are you putting in place when students need them, and how do students exit those strategies? And how do they come back into core instruction? And then if they are still not getting it, what's the more intensive levels of support? And how do you use all the curriculum materials that they've selected? So that's part of the work that we're coaching up, so that when we walk away in a couple of years, Mr. Warner and his team will have all those practices in place, and we're hoping to move that forward throughout the district. We also have, what I'm really proud of, through a grant through the Ohio Department of Education and Office of Special Education, is a middle school transitions project. And so if any of you have seen the Ohio Means Jobs format and that system, it's pretty robust, and it's difficult for a middle school student to jump into that and begin to think about, what do I want to be when I grow up? Because in a middle school, they want to be everything, right? Mm-hmm. So at the middle school project, we really thought what we need to do is help kids focus on what's your strengths. So we purchased 2 products that we have shared. We've actually purchased for your students, and all middle school students will be working through this. One is called Thrively, and we'll be happy to share with you what that is. But it's a product that will provide opportunities for middle school students to engage in developing the whole child, which is our push in Ohio, through their own personalized learning and experiences, and it gives them activities tailored to their interests and their passions. It really is a precursor to Ohio Means Jobs, because it gives kids an opportunity to do some things, to find out who I am and what I like and what are my strengths. And they get this really cool little baseball card that identifies their strengths. And then every teacher gets an image of all the students in their classroom that are in their classroom, and it will tell each teacher what the strengths are of each student. So if they like, to dig in the dirt and they want to be a farmer, great. Well, let's talk about that, and let's talk about how we can make connections to the curriculum through that. The other product we have is called Bring Your A Game. It's a curriculum where we teach kids work skills and work ethics, which is really a difficult challenge when kids are in middle school and they want to go and get a job, but they have not had an experience with developing work ethics. So this program will help them do that. It's paper and pencil, it's a curriculum. Teachers will do it in the classroom. And I really want to thank Ms. Weiner and her team for allowing us to bring this in. We're doing it in all the middle schools in our high support district. And we're hoping to see data that when the kids go into Ohio Means Jobs, they are spot on and ready and choose the right career pathway for themselves. So those are just a few of the things that we're doing. And I'm just very excited about the opportunities that the district and the leadership bring to the state support team to work together with you again this year. We will have data that we will share that on our behalf, what we're doing in terms of state support team, to say, here's the effort we've put in and here's the outputs that you're receiving. And then the district will share their information with us as well. So we're on a really great trajectory this year. I'm very excited about the opportunities that we have with your current leadership. So I hope that we get to come before you again and share all the good things that we're doing.
Thank
Do you have any questions of me?
Thank you. These programs that we've implemented, the Bring Your A Game and Thrively,
Yes.
are there other districts that are using that?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Springfield City, Dayton Public, you are the three districts that we chose because we were really concerned about our middle school kids not having opportunities. And these programs also work around students with disabilities. So they are, the Thrively has an audio portion and it will speak to the students and it will help them choose the right prompts. So our students with disabilities will also have options. So this is open to all kids, not just typical students. There's no barriers.
How do teachers find the opportunity to incorporate those particular, those additives in addition to everything else that they're doing?
You want to talk about how you're going to do this?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, please, please come.
And does it take away from anything they're already doing?
We actually met today with the social studies team. We chose them in middle school. And we also had gifted support there, the counselors, and the librarian also. We all met, we trained on Thrively, and those teachers are actively going to be working with it during their social studies time with career connections, with everything.
Okay.
So it's becoming part of what they do, and their personalities, the teachers, et cetera, as a team. We felt it would be a really great rollout with them to start it in the middle school and to move it forward.
Does it replace anything?
Not
in theory.
I should say yes, it does in a way, because last year we were working with Naviance, and that was a program also we had worked with, and I had last year as academic coordinator that I was in the middle school then at that time. We had different teachers using that to help the students with career connections and their career plans. This actually will replace and give a child an electronic portfolio to carry with them that moves up, and they can add things such as their interests, their sports teams, everything, like a whole portfolio.
Okay.
And put other things in there and their career interests, everything. So it's amazing. It was almost, it was way above what Naviance could do with the kids. So it's really a great program, and I'm very excited that the middle school gets to start it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "I'm back." So, thank you so much, State Support Team, for sharing the progress we see. They are the arms and legs of ODE here in the district. And basically, what the district shared, the highlights, there were just some points that just really stood out as being excellent. Excuse me. Simply that you all have a 2-day retreat to discuss the direction of the district. Phenomenal, and it sets the pace for everything that needs to go on in the district. having common benchmarking, informing assessments with online evaluations, and making sure the job descriptions all align to your strategic plan. Having a plan is what, and I was thinking even when the gentleman spoke about trying to partner with you, since you have a plan, the successful districts say, we understand what you're doing, how does it fit in our plan? And I see how you are following through with, people can come as long as they fit in your plan. And that's the critical thing, that you have a plan that sets the pace for anybody who might come in and out. So impressive. Your parent engagers, just phenomenal. Having mental health therapists and social workers in every building, that's a definite step in the right direction. And I'm sure on the recent circumstances, you've found that to be even more helpful for you. And looking at the budget, being transparent and comprehensive with your budget document, it has been viewed so positively that I'll speak to you briefly about the network groups we do. But we wanted to make sure Ms. Allen shared her plan of how she's communicating information to the districts with our other districts, because it's really a step in the right direction to help everyone to be on the same page. It's a saying that we say at ODE, don't plan to fund, but fund your plan. And this is a great way that Ms. Allen is making sure everyone is a part of the process and she understands the thinking behind it. So that is just very excellent. So we understand that you have new leadership at this time. And so all the things that were mentioned speak to, regardless of how things work, you have progress and you've been able to share that. And we feel like that's the step in the direction of having systems and systemic practices in place, so that no matter who comes and goes, you have the systems and you have all the great people, of course, that are going to make it happen. So our hats are off to you for that. And so I'd like to just briefly speak to you about the next steps. So as Ms. Appolito just explained, state support team was here before, here during, and will continue in the face of representing Ohio Department of Education, no matter what comes and goes. You know, ODE is here for you. One thing I wanted to state, and I should have stated from the very beginning, when we initially came, your district was one of the lowest 5 districts in the entire state. So that was the first district review we did, excuse me, and that was our proactive and preventive way of trying to help you to not get any worse. And then your district received the overall grade of an F. So we came back, hoping that we can, you know, give some kind of jump starting to get you out of that. And since then, though you were one of the bottom 5, now you're better than 15 districts. So I say that's one. So that speaks to the progress, and we're hoping to be a part of continuing with your progress on that. So state support team, the Ohio Department of Education, you were here before, during, and after. Mr. Tarek White, that I introduced in the beginning, will be, as he can, trying to step into the district leadership team meetings and give input and get firsthand what might be needs and supports that your district needs. It is our intention to make sure nobody falls through the cracks. And we could say up to this point, my office was created in 2014, and we have now worked with 21 different districts who at one point or another, they were some of the lowest 5 in the state. We have some that were the lowest 5 and now have moved up to having 159 districts, being better than 159 districts. So many of them have improved. And not only that, every district we have worked with up to this point have all improved. Those all who had Fs within the last 2 years outside of the Academic Distress Commission, and one of them, they did get better than F. Every single one of them no longer has an F. So we're pleased to hear the progress, and we feel like each of the individuals in the group has something to share with each other. And that's another support we try to provide. The peer-to-peer network I alluded to earlier that Ms. Allen has been a part of with the treasurers. So that's one of the peer-to-peer network groups, the treasurers of the districts, and then directors of the different areas like human resources, curriculum instruction, student supports, federal program directors. We try to bring them together. Sometimes they're, depending on the group, they're monthly calls or quarterly calls, and then physical meetings when they're planning to be at a conference anyway. We try to bring them together. So federal programs conference is coming up. So we try to have an Ohio 8 and urban gathering for them to share best practices, hear demonstrations, sessions. So that's a support that we try to facilitate to give for your district. Furthermore, monthly we're communicating with the state support team. So Tarek White is trying to be here in your district leadership team meetings when he can, but the state support team who is here, we are communicating with them monthly to find out are there things. So we're expecting, and when the superintendent has issues that he's communicating with state support team, they're letting us know. There again, we're just trying to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. And of course, now your acting superintendent knows he's just a phone call away. My office, and the role of my office is to connect you with ODE, whatever you need. We don't have all the answers, but we connect you with either the people who do or the resources. And that is our charge, to be here for you. And lastly, it's our, so we're talking monthly with state support team to find out how the district's doing. Do they need anything? What's going on? What have you done, state support team? And okay, are there any barriers that we can assist with? We're doing it monthly, but on a 6-month basis, we are having direct, generally physical communication with the leadership. So it's not our intention to come back here. Like, we didn't plan to come back the second time, but you all got that F, so we have to come on back here. But we don't plan to have that happen anymore, right? Right, everybody?
Right.
So we know we're steadily moving towards that A. So it is our expectation to continue communicating through the superintendent. But as you have noted in the past, different requests, I think the board has had even just asking more about accountability. If you want our office to come, you let the superintendent know. If you want our accountability office at Ohio Department of Education to come to share more about the report card, let the superintendent know, acting superintendent know, and we'll bring in whoever you need to give any kind of assistance. And that sums up what we're seeing. So, I'd like to end reiterating that progress here is realized. We heard it, and we, from the ODE, we see it. I mean, it's seen in your report card, but we're also seeing it, as you heard Ms. Appolito speak to. We're also seeing it in different ways that's not reflected on the report card. We see the progress. And Ms. Appolito stole my word when I said, I normally say you're on a trajectory of progress. You're moving in the right direction. And we feel like this right direction can continue to be expected based on the great efforts and collaborations that we have witnessed even since last year. So continued success to you. And again, if you have any concerns, questions, or additional support you want for us, let the superintendent know. But of course, you can contact my office as well. But just letting you know, it's our regular conversation we are having with the superintendent, or acting superintendent.
Great. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yay!
We appreciate your team. We appreciate you coming in today I know we've been on the schedule and off the schedule, But again, thank you so much, Dr. Huffman, Franklin Huffman. I never want to mix those up, all right?
Thank you.
And thank you, all right.
Thanks for allowing us to give you support. Know that you may not see us, but know we're here.
We're good with that. We're good,
All right?
we're good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's give him a hand. Next item up, I need a motion to go into executive session, and it's a resolution to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22G1.
So moved. I'll second.
I have a motion and we have a second. Any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
That's Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. We will now enter into executive session at 6:35 and action will be taken. We are now reconvened and out of executive session at 6:57 PM. Next item is item 5, which is a board item. Do I have a motion for the approval of the settlement agreement with Theron Spence?
I move that the Trotwood-Madison Board of Education approve the settlement agreement with Theron Spence and the Trotwood-Madison Education Association, resolving grievance 2019.4.29.G7, and that the board authorize acting superintendent to execute the agreement on behalf of the board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and the second is, again, the approval of the settlement agreement with Theron Spence. Okay, is there any discussion? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. Next item is item 6, which is the consent agenda. Item A, resolution to approve Samaritan Behavioral Health Mental Health Services contract from October 7, 2019 through June 3rd, 2020. Item B, it's a resolution to approve school resource officer contract with the city of Trotwood for the 2019-2020 school year. Resolution to approve catapult learning contracts for Mother Brunner Catholic School as presented. Item D is a resolution to approve graduation alliance contract with the MCESC. Item E is a resolution to approve student activity purpose statement and budgets for FY20 for high school seniors, high school vocals, high school muse machine, and high school National Honor Society, and middle school student government. Item F is a resolution to approve Key Bank depository agreement. I need a motion for item A, B, C, D, E, and F.
I'll move.
It's been properly moved. Got a second? It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
Is that Mr. Andrews?
Yeah.
Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman,
Yes.
Mr. Scares.
No.
And Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. Next item up, after the consent agenda, is item 7, treasurer's report. And this is for information only.
Yes. Approval of meeting minutes from September 5th, 2019, and September 19th, 2019. And as stated, this is only for information.
Thank you. Next items, if there are no questions, item 7, item 8, it's the superintendent's report.
Item A is the acceptance of scholarship funds for a music scholarship. These funds were provided by the class of 1964. They wanted to make a donation and they wanted it to be specifically for a music student, a student that participates in either band or vocal music. Item B is the acceptance of donations for the district and Westbrook Village Elementary. As you can see the attachment, there are some additional disaster relief donations and the $500 from the Salem Church of God. Item C is approval of the high school yearbook student activity purpose statement and budget for FY20. Item D is the request for review of an out-of-state field trip for the Trotwood-Madison High School Band to, I believe, Little Rock, Arkansas, Pine Bluff University. And item E is the personnel agenda. A1, recommendation for the certified resignation. A2, recommendation for approval of the following certified staff to be used as needed. A3, recommendation of approval for supplemental contracts. There's a long list of those supplemental contracts for your review. B1, recommendation for approval for the following classified resignations. B2, recommendation for approval of the following classified employment. B3, recommendation for approval of the following classified employment on an as-needed basis. B4, recommendation for approval of the following extra service contracts or supplemental contracts for the 1920 school year. And those all are for information this evening.
Okay, I have a question. Go ahead.
One question about the music scholarship. How is that used?
We have not established any criteria. The donating class just gave us the information, gave us the money. I think we need to probably sit down and try to figure out what the best process for that will be, and possibly include some other local scholarship entities to try to figure out a solid process. But they just donated the money to us. It was kind of a surprise, would you say, Mr. McCray?
Yes.
And we just want to make sure that we are accounting for it and then working to try to establish a criteria.
And a music scholarship, this is someone, I would assume, a senior going to a college or university in music, not just necessarily what they're doing in music in the district.
I can't quite say that yet. I think we need to probably identify those.
Okay.
Yeah, identify those parameters, because we do have several students on a yearly basis that do attend universities based on musical talent. So I would not count that out as well. But we just want to make sure that we got the money in, and then the board saw it, and then work to try to identify some parameters. And I can update you with that information once we sit down and work through that. But they were very specific: a music student, someone participating in either band or vocal.
Mm-hmm. My question is on the overnight field trip request. Is that being paid for by Band Boosters?
Yes, this will be a band booster student expense.
Any other questions or discussion?
For that trip to Little Rock, the students are they sold popcorn, and then whatever you didn't sell, the parents are paying the difference for that.
Okay.
So that's how that's shaken out.
How much is it per
If you
child?
didn't do any fundraising, it's like $250, I think, for a student. And if you did at least $100, I think you pay like $150 or something like that. And they have like a payment plan broken down for parents.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. There are no other comments, questions to come before the superintendent. We'll move on to the treasurer's comments.
Yes, I did attach my treasurer's update. I did not have a hard copy, so I want to just go over very quickly the points. We did have the opportunity to conduct several sessions at central office in all school buildings, probably about 250 employees, to talk about the health insurance and ways that we could cut health insurance costs. And we thought the meetings went very, very well. Flu shots, we had 91 employees that took advantage of our free flu shots, which we thought was very well attended. Our FY19 audit begins, and I think you got a message from the auditor, begins on Monday. They will be here on Monday. They will actually be in the conference room. Obviously, if there's meetings before 4:30, we'll take care of that, but that's where they will be set up. And then the last thing I wanted to let everyone know that on Friday, October 25th, and Monday, October 26th, the Opera Guild of Dayton will be presenting to the ELC students the Marionettes program, and that starts at 1:15 for 2 performances. And so that performance, the cost of it was $100, and they were able to secure a funder for that. And so I am part of the Dayton Opera Guild, and so I was gonna write the check, but then she said, no, she found a funder. So there was somebody that is gonna fund that program. So if you have time to go over and see it, it's very I like it. I've seen it several times. Just little puppets singing and everything. But she said it's not about the puppets, it's about the process. And that's what she wrote I read the little article. So
Which date again?
Friday, October 25th, and Monday, October 28th. And it starts at 1:15, and from 2 classes, right?
2
2 performances, 2 classes. Is it just
It's
K-2?
it's just the first grade, but they're divided up.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay, first grade, okay.
It's just first grade.
And then at the bottom, their information on some of the meetings that I have to attend in the month of October. That's all I have.
Thank you. Superintendent's comments?
I have a few this evening. I provided 4 attachments for you. The first being a summary of the Montgomery County Educational Services Center Business Advisory Council. As the board knows, we have a requirement to be a member of a Business Advisory Council. Finding out, in the process of finding out as much information as possible about this council and the responsibilities and roles that both the service center and the district are responsible for. I provided a summary for everyone to read and review. If you have any questions, I can definitely research those, but we have been attending all of the meetings. We are an active participant in the Business Advisory Council, and I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that we were maintaining our responsibility with that. The second the second 2 items are the BLT and DLT agendas from the DLT from the 2nd. We had our first district leadership team meeting, and again, credit to Ms. Minor for putting together the agenda. We spent the initial hour and a half or so talking about climate and culture and the professional learning community aspects and the process of building and working our way towards being a true professional learning community. And the second half of the session, we dug deep into the data. We reviewed the school report cards, the district report cards, and our PBIS data. And we really came up with some thought-provoking conversations, especially in that PBIS group, just about some of the planning and the information that we need to help us move towards improvement. We look forward to continue those conversations and work towards building a strong district leadership team that provides supports for the district. The BOT agenda is for this upcoming Saturday. It is a cohort group of the building leadership teams. And I just wanted to just update you guys in regards to what that agenda will look like. Ms. Minor will be working along with the curriculum department and the principals to do some of the same things we did with the DLT and share that down with the BOT, because in true essence, the building leadership team is who drives the progress and the movement in the district. And I just wanted to keep you guys abreast of some of the things that are going on in the district. And finally, I provided a superintendent's update, as I try to do every month. Please note some of the dates there. I do the best I can to get all of the dates. The principals provide them before the end of the prior month. And I want to make sure you guys are abreast on a lot of the things that are going on in the buildings. One date that I want you guys to pay attention to or be cognizant, because I need a little response from you, is 10/25. I need to know who will be attending the Springboro game, where they present a check to the district. I just need to get back with Springboro to let them know. The logistics of that I don't quite have yet, but they did request just to know who would be attending from the Board of Education, so I can let them know. So if you need some time, we still have some time.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Be there.
Okay. So I'll tell them at least 4 or 5 board members. And then the other date I know was a contentious point over the last couple of years. We are having our College Credit Plus meeting at the high school on 10/19. This is the informational meeting for 7 through 12 students that are interested in the College Credit Plus program, and just getting as much information out about that program as possible. And that's really all I have tonight.
Mr. Howard, with keeping everything consistent on your agendas, the DLT and the BLT, maybe on the BLT, instead of it saying RAM plan, we'll put.
And that's the old agenda. I apologize about that. Yeah, we removed that plan moniker from that. Yeah, initially, and it will be professional learning communities at work, or Trotwood-Madison as a professional learning community at work. So, yeah, we'll get that. That was just oversight on my part.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't want anybody thinking it's something different.
No more plans.
Yeah, no more plans. Yeah, just a way of thinking.
Right.
So we'll address that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? We'll start with Mr. Andrews, board comment.
Couple things real quick. The book that you had referenced and picked up for us, I read it, and it's very enlightening. And I feel like that if we could follow any parts of that in terms of what they're recommending and things, I think it would help us a lot with our district moving forward. Because the emphasis on the main emphasis is on getting staff on board and moving forward as a cohesive group, and strategies on how to do that. It was very very informative. And second one had to do with Friday night football game. And
Mr. Andrews, can you speak into the mic, because Kim has a hard time when she has to
okay,
read the minutes.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you hear my first comment?
Yes.
Okay. The second one had to do with Friday night's football game. And I thought that in a lot of ways, it exemplified the spirit of the community. It was a back and forth affair. It was kind of rugged. And toward the end, it looked like we were done. And unfortunately, some of our fans got up and started leaving. And because I think they thought we were done too. But the guys persevered, and they ended up making a remarkable drive, 94 yards down the field with less than 2 minutes to go in the game to win the game. A remarkable comeback. And like I said, to me, there were a lot of parallels in their tenacity and perseverance that mirror what our community is going through and what they're doing. So that was it.
Okay, Mr. Scares?
No comments. Thank you.
Ms. Bozeman?
A lot. Not too many, I guess. I had a great time this past weekend at the family reunion, so
Okay.
Had a nice time in the parade, giving out all the candy. I tried to give all my candy out to the first 5 kids, so I would have to carry that heavy bag all the way to Madison Park. So I had a lot of really happy kids. So I had a really nice time at that. Looking forward to, everything else that we have going. Looking forward to the Springboro game, of course, because my nephew plays for Springboro. I only know one person at Springboro High School, and it's my nephew, Willian Yates. So I'm looking forward to going to the game and, seeing him play. And he's a senior, so that's really exciting for us. Let's see what else. Also, you mentioned College Credit Plus. I don't know if they contacted you guys. They said they were going to contact you because I'm looking forward to coming back to teach a class here in January. I think, from my experience last time I taught, I think I would adjust a few things. And we're going to talk about what kind of adjustments I would make that I think will be best for the students here. But of course, everything is always about the students. So I think the adjustments I make will be what's best for them and will move them ahead.
And they have contacted Mr. McCray, College Credit Plus, about disposable coming back. We had conversation about that, yes.
And my mentee at the high school is looking forward.
So
to being
hopefully,
in your class.
we'll get the interest because I have to have a certain number to do it. So hopefully we'll have the interest because, the way I have, the ideas I have to structure it should really work
She's
and
looking forward.
help them. So looking forward to it as well. That's it.
Miss Jeter Freeman?
I enjoyed the family reunion as well. There were a couple of vendors out there, the library, and they mentioned that they do tutoring. And remember also Central State.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a few resources out there that we can follow up with to see
We were
how
working
we
with
can.
the library.
Library is one of our
Yes.
community partners for the
Right.
21st Century Program. Yeah, so they're in I think, maybe 2 to 3 times a week,
Okay.
something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I know that they are definitely an active partner with our 21st Century.
Yeah, she mentioned that she wanted to make sure she got with us to identify. She said, I guess they did it, but it wasn't, they want to make sure they're providing us what we need so that it can be targeted tutoring. So if they're behind in a class or something.
I can be honest and
Yeah.
say that program is gonna look a whole lot different this
Okay.
year.
All
It's gonna
right.
look a whole lot different.
Yeah.
It's gonna be where it needs to be.
And the other thing is the Southwest Region Conference is next Thursday. So we need to let Ron Diver know tomorrow morning how many people will be able to attend.
Was that something?
I don't
We
know.
No, we didn't
He
get
didn't send
anything.
anything?
Nothing.
Okay. I'll have to, he
Yeah.
thought he sent something.
Usually we get invitations.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
But-
we'll reach out
Yeah,
and
we'll-
get the information for the
Yeah.
board.
And then, if you would let him know in the morning, Janet, but that's next Thursday. And I don't remember where it is. And I think the DLT yesterday. It was really, really nice. We had didn't think I was gonna make it, had a contractor supposed to come and do my drywall. Called me at 8 o'clock and said, can't come, so didn't come yesterday. I'm just venting right now, Sharon, just a minute.
Can you vent later?
No, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. But the DLT was good in spite of all that. I think we had like 35 or more participants, so. Thank you, staff, Mr. Howard, Ms. Minor, and everyone was there, and TMEA, so it was good.
My only comments are, again, past weekend, family reunion, the picnic, or the parade, and our picnic at our tent, the hospitality tent. Ms. Allen, thank you, and thank Kim also for getting those invitations out. We actually had some of our guests show up, and it was a really good opportunity to collaborate and to thank them personally for their support during our disaster relief. They so appreciate it, and the cookies with our 100% student success went over big, and also the wristbands, Mr. Howard, really nice touch. Again, it was a wonderful event. Mr. Jordan Isaac and the staff that participated, that came out, Ms. Love Allen. I mean, it was just wonderful just to have staff out and just in the park. Additionally, I want to say kudos to Ms. Allen, the peer-to-peer network group that Dr. Huffman mentioned, using your method and your processes as a model. I think that speaks volumes for what we're doing here, putting in systems and structures and protocols and processes. So again, kudos to you. I was looking at the donations, and a few of our staff folks actually were out at Deja Vu. Mr. Jordan Isaac and a few of the teachers came out for the donation of $3,500. And they gave me a really big check, and I put it in the car, but it's in the wrong car. So I bring it. It's just a picture of the check and something that we may want to hang up. But it's really, really nice. And it was a nice event for the support of our students. And I think they did a concert the following evening, Kim Waters, where they were doing more outreach for Trotwood. So again, people are still reaching out, which is, amazing. And what we're going to do is we're going to put out a press release on where we are as a district along the lines of our disaster relief efforts and the next phase. And because again, everybody wants to help, but we need to kind of share how they can help. So again, it's been awesome, just the outpouring. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate that. And we also appreciate your efforts and all that you do every single day for our students. Given that, one other thing, Ms. Freeman, you were going to mention our student rep.
Oh, I put together questionnaire and application for our student rep. And so I'll send it to each of you so you can look at it. It's pretty short. There's for the student at the end to kind of say why they want to be on it. I can't remember the others, but the important thing was they would have the high school principal, a teacher, and then two other students just to endorse it. It's not to go and have them write anything, but what it would do is engage that student with the principal to say, hey, I want to be a student rep for the school board. To engage with the teacher and then other students. And I know there were names from last year, so even if we went that route, I think maybe we would still want them to fill out the application so that we'll have it on file and we know a little bit about them.
We just need to make sure we look at the policy. There's
But there's
policy.
policy in place for that
So we need
as
to
well.
make sure we follow that.
Okay.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, given that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Are there any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Scarce.
And Mrs. Scarce was first and I was second.
Mr. Scarce.
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes.
Mrs. Bozeman.
Yes.
And Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. Meeting adjourned.